What's up guys, welcome back to our joint channel. Today we are doing a video that has been pretty highly requested in Cass's DMs throughout our relationship, because probably many of you know our relationship started out long distance, and so that was kind of like how everyone saw our relationship in the beginning was like a long distance relationship, and now seeing that we're together and in person, like that it worked out. Which long distance can be hard, and so I think a lot of people are like wondering like what we did to like make it work and stuff.
Yeah, I just get a lot of DMs, people asking tips for long distance and how we made it work, and honestly I don't really ever answer anyone because it's too long of an answer to send back in a DM. So we just thought we'd make this video on tips for what we did, and yeah, just how to make long distance work in general.
Yeah, and like we're not like making this video like thinking like that we did it like this is like you have to do it like this way. Like everyone's relationship is different, but
this is what worked for us.
Yeah, a lot of people do ask her for tips, so we just thought we'd give, like, we kind of thought about what we thought helped our relationship, and maybe that can help yours. If you think it might, give it a try, and yeah, we hope it at least helps somebody out there. So we're just gonna go over like 7 quick tips that we jotted down that we thought that were the most important that we come up with. So number 1 would be to set expectations for each other. So pretty much like the start of long distance, like let's say like summer ends and like you're going apart, or like maybe a break ends, you're going apart. I think like the best thing to do that we did kind of early on was to set expectations for each other. Like, this is kind of like what I feel okay with like you doing. Like maybe this is something where if you're doing this, like I might need a heads up. This is what I'd feel comfortable, like the crowd that you're hanging around with, this is what, not like basically to control them, but you want your partner to be comfortable and not have to be worried about what you're doing when you're spending all this time apart. And so just like having expectations of how you want them to communicate to you, what you feel is good communication, having that talk, I think is like super beneficial.
And then if your partner is doing something that you didn't communicate about and you get upset with them, then it's like, well, you never told me that this would upset you. So if you talk about it beforehand, then they know what's gonna upset you and what you're okay with them doing. So if you just start off by saying, and if you're in the middle of a long distance relationship and you've never done that, I think that it's totally okay to be like, hey, I was thinking about it and I want to kind of set some expectations.
If you were going to be at a function where like there was a bigger group of people, which obviously means like guys would be there, it's not that I don't want you there, but it's at the same time, it's like it'd be weird for me to like see a picture on Instagram that your friend posted of you and there's like guys in the background, you know, like I'd be like, I didn't even know she was there. And it's just stuff like that. And then I would like have to be
less argument.
All these 7 tips come down to better communication. It's just communication is the biggest thing, and we'll just talk about that over and over, but like solid communication is the biggest thing. But that'd be the first tip. Basically just set expectations for each other, how to best make you comfortable in your long distance relationship.
And kind of going right along with that, the next tip is just knowing each other's schedules. So when we were doing long distance, he was working a job and I was in college, but I would tell him like, hey, this is what time I'm gonna be in class on Monday through Friday. Like, here's when I have class, so that he knows what I'm doing, basically. And it's not like he has to know what I'm doing at all times. It's not like that. If they know like what your schedule is like, then I feel like it's just better.
Yeah, well, it's like, and we'll talk about this more, but like we didn't want to text 24/7, right? Because like we wanted to still live our lives for like that amount of months. So it's not like a parental thing, like I have to know what you're doing. It's like, oh, she knew I was going to be working and coaching from this time to this time, like bye, I have practice, like I'll talk to you at this time. So she didn't have to be like on her phone wondering when she was going to get a text back. She could put her phone down, go enjoy other aspects of her life, or go get work done and not have to worry about what I'm doing. Same time I didn't have to worry about what she was doing. Not to think, oh, are they mad at me, they haven't responded for 3 hours. Like, no, I'm just working, or no, she was just doing school. And again, it's just communication that prevents arguments, because I think that's like the biggest thing of like long distance. One of the biggest things is like just preventing dumb arguments.
I'd say like at the beginning of each week we would be like, so what does your schedule look like this week? Like, what can I be expecting this week? And he knew when I had classes, but if things were going to be different or if I had other stuff planned, I'd be like, oh, this is going on, just so you know. And so that way when it came to that day and time, it wasn't a surprise, which didn't mean I couldn't plan things throughout the week, but it was just like, here's what I know I have going on, basically.
And again, it wasn't like something like, oh, I have to like think. It wasn't like a chore. It was just like, it was almost like, yeah, like this is what I'm excited about that's coming up this week. Like it wasn't like, oh, I can't believe I have to tell her all this stuff. And it wasn't like I have to. Like we wanted to like let each other know, because it's like it's hard when you're away from like your best friend, so it's like you want to know what they're doing that week, just because you can't really be a part of it like in person, so like it helps you feel more a part of it.
Number 3 for the tips is schedule the next time you're going to see each other. So I would say like as soon as you are about to leave from seeing each other, if you're flying, driving, whatever, or like as soon as you get home, whenever it really is feasible for you and your relationship, then plan that next time that you're going to see each other, even if it's you're going to see them in 2 weeks or you're going to see them in like 3 months, you know, just whenever that is, at least you know when you're going to see them and you have something to look forward to. Whenever I get home from the airport or whatever from leaving him, then I could be like, well, I'll see you in this many days.
Yeah, we like always had a countdown, so it's like, I think it's something where it helps your brain like knowing there's an end to it, like this is the end of long distance for this amount of time, you know, like I can go these 4 weeks instead of like saying goodbye. Like any long distance couple knows, like that saying goodbye, like that drive home, whether dropping them off or like that flight home from coming from like your significant other's place, like that sucks. But like knowing it's like, we usually try to like schedule it where we already knew when we were going to see each other again before we left, so it was like always a sad goodbye, but at the same time it's like I'll see her in 4 weeks or I'll see her in 3 weeks. And like we were always like on the countdown, like see you in this many days.
Yeah, so then you can be like, well, I can go 4 weeks, like I can do 4 weeks. But then if you don't have anything planned, then you're just like, when am I going to see you again? And then that could start even more arguments, because if you're like, I don't know when I'm going to see you again type of thing, I feel like that could just lead to stress.
And again, even if your schedules don't make it where you literally can't see them for 4 or 5 months, having that exact date, knowing at this day I'll see them, it's going to make it better and easier.
The next tip is to set a time of day when you know that you're going to talk to them. So for us, just the way that our schedules aligned, it was best for us to do it at nighttime, and because of the time change, it was usually like before I was going to bed because I was further ahead in time. So you would like just be getting done with dinner almost, and I was like going to bed. But that's when we knew like we could FaceTime at the end of the day and catch up on the day and what was going on.
Yeah, I think FaceTime, like thank goodness for FaceTime. I think that was a big thing for us, because again, we did talk every day, but I think it also allowed us not to feel like we had to like text each other throughout the day. We did text, but like not like second on second on second. Like sometimes it'd be 30 minutes to 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever in between a text. But it was like, it made it so it's like, even if I didn't talk to her that much that day, I knew I'd be able to FaceTime her that night. And like some FaceTimes were like 10 to 15 minutes depending on like our schedules, but some 3, 4 hours. It just depended on the night, and just like having that time where like you have that undivided attention to your significant other like is important, because it's like even when you're texting throughout the day, you're probably busy doing something, so your mind's not fully there. But like when you're on a call with them, like whether it be FaceTime or the phone or whatever, you're fully one-on-one with that person. And I think it also helps just communication, because it's like text can get very misinterpreted, like the tone of a text can get misinterpreted. There was many little times where I was like, or one of us would be like, okay, and then we'd be like, oh wait, why was that like a bad text for you? And we just had to explain like that's not what we meant, you know. So it's just like, obviously when you're talking on the phone, it's just so much easier, and you get to see their face, and it just makes it easier. And
I think that it just kind of takes pressure off, because I personally hate texting, and a lot of times I will like open people's text messages and then forget to respond. So I feel like I didn't do that to you as much, but I'm just not a good texter. So he would text me like a lot sometimes, and then I'd text back really little, because in my mind I'm like, well, we're gonna talk on the phone, and I'd rather talk in person. But I feel like it just takes pressure off. Like you don't have to be texting them 24/7. Like you're both busy, you're both doing things.
Well, then it gives you something to talk about that night too. It's like you don't feel the need to text them every little thing that happened during the day, but then that gives you stuff to talk about at nighttime or morning, whatever time you set out to be. Be like, this is what's happened, and then you have tons of stuff to talk about, and then you can build conversations off of that. And it's just a better way also just to get to know your partner like better than just being at the end of the night after like texting 24/7 throughout the day. Like, what are you going to even have to talk about? Like nothing.
Yeah, then on the phone you're going to be
you're
like,
not building relationships.
Yeah.
And then when you finally are together, you're going to be, you're not going to even really know how to talk to them, and you're just going to be sitting on your phones. And it's just, texting is fine. We highly recommend like living your own life when you're apart, and but
which is one of our other tips, is to improve yourself while you're away from your significant other. Like, I just feel like I really took the time when we were doing long distance to get back into the gym more, start working out more, because I always loved working out and was always like super active in like high school and stuff. But in college it was just kind of like a when I work out, I'll work out type of thing. But when we were doing long distance, like, he was always at the gym, so then I was like, I'm gonna go to the gym too. I started going to more workout classes and just hanging out with my friends because I knew I was graduating and wasn't gonna, like, now I live in Texas, or I don't live close to them, so just really like take that time to improve yourself, find hobbies that you like to do and new things that you like to do.
Yeah, it's just like it's a season of your life. As much as it sucks being away from that person, you don't want to just throw that season out and be like, I'll save all these things for when I'm together with him. Like, build yourself, like, get better at something. Like, again, find a hobby, find friends, do stuff that's going to make you happy, because at the end of the day, like, you want to become a better person than you were every single day. Like, you just want to improve on yourself every single day, even if it's little or something big, because not only for yourself, but you want to be you want to be a better person for your significant other, like, when you are together. So it's like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, and you don't want to come back to your person a worse off spouse, or not spouse, but significant other.
I also feel like if you're not improving yourself, then that almost puts more pressure on your partner.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, well, I feel bad because you're not doing anything.
Basically, you just don't want this season of life to be a waste, because life is very short, and if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, and you don't want to look back on that time of being away from that person as a time of waste, because at the end of the day, that time is time you're never going to get back. And so basically, like, what I'm summing up is that you're not going to miss not being away. You're not going to miss the time apart from that person. A lot of time that you had when you were apart, like long distance, that you're not going to have when you're together. And so using that time during, like, when you have it, using that free time as a benefit, rather than just like pouting, laying in your room, just being like, oh, I miss my girlfriend, I miss my boyfriend, whatever. Like, just using that time well is like, you're not always going to have that time again, which I don't necessarily miss it because I like being with you, but it's like, obviously I had more free time then, so it's like, it's just seasons of your life. You don't want to waste it.
Yes. Another thing that we think is really helpful is like making it fun by sending letters, cards, gifts, whatever, because something like, I just love to write to people and like send cards, so I would send Johnny like little cards all the time. And now that we both live in the same state, we're not doing long distance, it's like, when am I ever going to send him a card ever again?
Right.
So I think that just like finding like the little things and that are joyful in long distance.
The love languages, whatever they are, like, only so many of them you can do long distance. But like gifts and like acts of service, it's stuff fun getting stuff in the mail. But like acts of service and gifts is like a way that you can help someone receive love. So it's fun to get stuff in the mail. It's fun to receive someone, even if it's a stupid little, I thought of you, I saw this story, I thought of you, like I sent it to you. Like, it doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be a $200 object.
No.
But just writing a note, writing a card, it's just like,
even like,
we have those things still from when we were doing long distance, and it's fun to read back on those times, and it seems like a really long time ago, even though it wasn't. But looking back on that like time of our lives, and we're like, wow, like, that was cute, but like, I'm really glad we made it to like where we are now. And it's like, it's just a good bridge.
Well, and like sometimes Johnny would send me money, and like, which sounds bad, you're like sending me money.
I was a sugar daddy.
But he'd be like, go get flowers, like, I don't want you buying your own flowers. Or like, here's coffee money, like, your coffee's on me today. It was like small Venmo payments. It wasn't like a ton of money.
I'm a teacher, I didn't have a lot of money to send, but like.
But just like, you know, I'm in class and then I get that on my phone. I'm like, that's so sweet. Like, he's thinking of me, and he's 2,000 miles away.
That's the big thing. It's not that she couldn't pay for her own coffee. It's not she couldn't pay for her flowers. It's the fact that she knew I was thinking about her, and like, that's really important for your partner, because people overthink, and it's very easy to overthink. Like, do they still care about me? Do they still love me? Do they still like me? Do they still find me attractive? Like, it's very easy when you've been away from someone to like overthink, and like getting that stuff, whether it's a $5 red note, being like, they're thinking about me, like that just like makes you feel better, and like makes you feel more confident in like in your relationship.
So our very last tip is to have an end goal in mind that you guys have talked about. So at least for Johnny and I, we knew that I was graduating college in May, and so in May I would like fly out to him, so we weren't doing long distance anymore. From the day we started dating, we were like, well, in May it's gonna be over. I mean, even if you have like 4 years of school ahead of you, I think it's super important to talk about like when you would be in person dating and living in the same city even.
Well, it's not even just when but like, what are you gonna do to get there? Like for us, it wasn't just, oh yeah, in May it's over, but it's where do we want to go after that? Are we ready for engagement by that point? Where do we want to live? What kind of jobs should we be looking for? If you're in a long distance relationship that you don't know when it's gonna end, being long distance, that can be a super tough thing, because obviously they're not the funnest things in the world, but having an end to it, it gives you that end to shoot for, being like, you know what, in 2 years you're both gonna be done with school, we're gonna be living in the city with a puppy, like all this stuff, whatever your goal is, having that conversation with your person and being on the same page. Being on the same page is the biggest thing, because they're like, if your thought is like that's what you want to do, you want to live in the same city, you want to live in the penthouse, whatever you want to do, whatever your lifestyle is, but your partner has a different idea. Maybe they're like, no, I want to go travel after this, and that's not what you want to do. Like, then after 4 years of doing long distance, let's say you break up, and then those 4 years were wasted. So it's like having that conversation can be like
it
tough.
It can be a hard conversation, but it's like super necessary.
It's necessary, just like the expectations. It's like, you got to sit down. Where do we see this going? Where do we want it to end? And how do we get there? And then that way it's not, let's say a long distance would be over, but then you're stuck not knowing what to do next. And so it's always best to be prepared, and it's just easier to shoot for. Just like having a date in mind when we'd see each other again, having that forethought for us, like knowing May was over, we were going to travel all summer, and then we were going to move to Texas. Like that made everything like possible, like those hard days, like hard conversations, like the times we spent like a month apart, like it was like May. And so for us, it wasn't 4 years, but it's doable. We would do 4 years if we would have had to.
So I hope that you guys found this video helpful, and if you guys have any other long distance videos that you'd want to see, just leave them in the comments. We love talking about it, because we know that long distance is super hard, but we made it work, and so we want it to work for other people. So just let us know, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us both on Instagram, all that good stuff.
And follow Maple too, she's over there.
Oh yeah, follow Maple too. Her Instagram is super cute, and she has a TikTok. But we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.
See ya.